Boker Tov, everybody. Rabbi Eric Solomon, Raleigh, North Carolina. Beautiful morning. More morning Torah. I want to talk here about the shofar, which we blast on Rosh Hashanah, the ram's horn, and which we've done every morning here during the month of Elul. When I was a kid, my favorite part, and I think a lot of kids, even a lot of adults, favorite part of the whole shofar experience is listening to, of course, the sound and hearing the person blow the shofar, ba'ala ba'alat tokea, but specifically the tekiah gedolah. Tekiah means blast, and gedolah means the big one, and that's the one that goes really long. It's in during the Rosh Hashanah prayer service, davening, and it's also at the end of Yom Kippur, and it reverberates. It's long. So when I was a kid, though, we used to, a couple of the kids, we would actually take out our old watches with the ticking and see how long the person could last. And even some people at our Beth Meyer, my shul, when I arrived here, this was seen as like a little competition. How long can that shofar blower, let that last blast go out for? And, it's cute. I'm not being too judgmental on it. But, if I did frame this Devar Torah, it's not about the tekiah gedolah. It's about the tekiah ketana, or the tekiah shketa, it's not about the loud blast or the long blast. It's about the small blast, or even the silent blast, what I might call the silent cry. One of my favorite stories about this idea, about what the really shofar is about. Why is it calling us to repent? Why is it so deep and rich? I know the story of Abraham and Isaac and the Akedah and things like that, of course, but the teaching I love is in a famous or well-known Torah story in Genesis, where Abraham's first child. So remember, Abraham and Sarah were told they're going to have a child. They have a problem having a child. So first, Abraham has a child through what was permitted in the Torah, a concubine named Hagar, and they have a child named Ishmael. Fast forward, Sarah is jealous, doesn't have a child of her own at that point, and banishes Hagar and Ishmael. And according to the Torah story, if you look at it closely, Hagar and Ishmael Hagar herself is so devastated. Ishmael, they're sent out basically to the desert, possibly to die. And according to the Torah, God hears the cry of the Yeled of Ishmael, Ba'asher Husham, where he is. That's a beautiful phrase, where he is. Now what's powerful is the Torah doesn't say that Ishmael cried, and we can assume as a toddler he cried, being alone in the desert, abandoned, away, etc., without food and water. But the idea that God heard the cry leads some of the commentators to say that in the end, what God heard was not a loud baby crying or toddler crying, but a silent cry, a kind of cry that pierced the heavens. And that idea that listening to the shofar is not just about hearing something long and loud, it's about training our ear to connect to our heart and our soul. That there's a way of listening to the world and listening to people that is the way modeled by God listening to Ishmael. That cry that comes that is not always obvious or loud, but it's a certain sensitivity to when someone is crying from the inside. That's the goal. That's the training of the shofar. Is not to listen to the externals, but to listen to the internals. So I put that out there as a kind of morning Torah teaching as we get ready for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, when sadly many of us are going to hear the shofar through the internet because we are all going to feel comfortable. There will be other opportunities. Tashlich will be blowing the shofar throughout various parts of our davening, some in person, some online. But the idea of the shofar is not that tekiah gedolah, although that's beautiful and fun and we enjoy it. It's about listening to the silent cry that's not so easily heard. And that cry that's within us, but also the cry that's within others. This morning, we woke up, many of us yesterday, to the tragic death of a number of American soldiers in Afghanistan and innocent Afghanis as well. Those serving our country, trying to save lives. Put aside the politics of how or what you believe about the withdrawal. There's a cry that came from people's lives being taken horrifically. And there's a silent cry of perhaps of those who are in mourning and grieving the shock of our fellow American family members. And there are people in our lives too. The ones that we may see crying on the outside during Yizkor, and those that are privately crying that we may not see. It's kind of an internal cry. This is the type of spiritual sensitivity we want to bring to our lives during the year, but certainly during the holidays. Can we listen to not only what we hear, obviously, but also hear what is more sensitive, more quiet, deeper? That's what the shofar blast is about, sensitizing our ear to our heart and to our soul. May the memories of all those who were killed be a blessing. May we offer comfort and condolences to all the families. And may we use this as an opportunity ourselves with the shofar to sensitize ourselves to all those who are in suffering with the silent cry. Shabbat Shalom. We'll see all those who are able to participate this Motzei Shabbat, Saturday night, for Slichot. We're doing a triangle-wide Slichot online. And God willing, a Shabbat of peace. Shabbat Shalom.